Didn't take long for politics to come into play with the tragedy unfolding.
Specifically, the issue of automatic weapons and high-capacity magazines capable of firing hundreds of rounds before reloading.
Here's what Democratic Congressman Chris Murphy tweeted earlier this afternoon. It reads, "To my colleagues, your cowardice to act cannot be whitewashed by thoughts and prayers. None of this ends unless we do something to stop it," end quote. Tonight, our Rod Maloney has a look at how easy it is for people to get their hands on automatic rifles.
Stephen Paddock used a weapon like this, an AR-15. And we need to talk about the difference between semi-automatic, which is legal, and automatic, which is not. Semi-automatic is every time you pull the trigger back, you get one bullet out of the magazine. But if you have an automatic weapon, pull the trigger back and it'll empty the magazine immediately. Now, what we're finding in this case is that it wasn't semi-automatic or automatic. It was something in between that nobody saw coming. That chilling sound of automatic gunfire is not. It's actually coming from a semi-automatic using something called a trigger crank, a fishing reel type device attached to the trigger. Bill Cusick runs Action Impact Firearms and Gun Range.
The best way for me to describe that is if you think about the old Gatling guns, if you saw in the movie where they're cranking it, and it's firing from belt-fed ammunition. And this is a modified version of that concept.
So a hand crank, with every revolution, you get 3 bullets out of the chamber. But the thing to know about this is highly technical stuff, and it's not something you put together in your garage.
You really have to be a somewhat serious gun person to even know this, to know that you could adapt, notice I said adapt as opposed to modify your firearm to shooting in what we would classify as a fully auto phase.
There are about 4 other ways to modify a semi-automatic rifle, most of which could land you in prison for 10 years. Cusick says that this is about 8 to 10 times faster when you're using that hand crank. And he also says that it changes your ability to aim a rifle, which is why there wasn't sort of a concentrated stream of fire that he was firing all over the yard of the concert, because he was there cranking this crank and the weapon jumping up and down like that, making it even more dangerous than it already might have been. Back to you.
Obviously very disturbing here. When you talked with these experts, Rod, what other methods of making a rifle act like an automatic are out there, and how common are they?
Well, there's another one that could very much be legal in the same vein, and instead of using a crank, this one allows you put your finger on the trigger and it moves the stock back and forth, allowing it to become automatic. And so there are all kinds of technologies out there that are getting around the laws that are way ahead of law enforcement, and so clearly that's something that's going to have to looked at as they go forward in this investigation.
How very true. All right. Thank you, Rod.